Hello, everybody. You've tuned in to the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I'm your host, Sergeant Rich Myers from District 52 Public Information Office, Indiana State Police, and we are brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance, Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police, and Tom Trial, who puts us on the video each and every week. And with us today, we have Kathy Haley. Kathy, welcome.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you for being here.
It's nice
Pull
to
that
be here.
mic a little closer to your lovely face there so we can get you nice and...
How's that?
There you go. Now we can hear you. Good to have you here. And Kathy is a dispatcher, and I don't want to blow your title here because you actually just got promoted.
I did. Regional manager
Regional manager from...
for RDC3.
That is great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Glad to hear that.
I'm excited about it. A little nervous.
How many years you got with the state police?
10 years, working on my 11th, coming up soon.
It goes by fast.
It does.
We had many good times out there at Putnamville, didn't we?
We sure did.
And Kathy's working now, the Region 3 now is the Bloomington Post, correct?
That's correct.
And so you've just been promoted, but we kind of wanted to talk about dispatchers because last week or a few weeks ago was the Telecommunications Safety Awareness Week. The governor proclaimed that. And then you've got promoted, so we're going to talk about that also. And we're going to talk about what it takes to be a good dispatcher. What if somebody wants to apply, what it takes to, and your job is going to be open, right?
Yes, we're interviewing next week for that.
Yeah, so if anybody's interested for that, they can apply to the Indiana State Police for a dispatch job. But so what was your job before you got promoted here? What
I was supervisor for the center.
Okay.
And we dispatched for Jasper, Evansville, Bloomington, and Putnamville at this time. Putnamville is scheduled to be leaving Region 3 and going to Area 5. So that will be later on in the fall, I do believe. But right now we have 27 counties that we dispatch for.
Wow.
So
27 counties.
27.
Out of one place.
That's a lot to learn for a dispatcher.
Yes, it is. How do you keep all that straight?
We try to focus on having a dispatcher that's good in one area.
Okay.
I mean, that's their main area, but we also do cross-train and so that everyone has to do every district.
Wow.
So, and learn every trooper. That's a task.
That is, because I know when I was working the road with you, we just had a county, or 3 counties that we did over there at Putnamville. And you knew that a guy's names are guys who were calling in by their voices. You could tell who it was before even the car number was talking,
That's correct.
I expect that's a lot harder with it.
It is. And, that's the bad thing. We keep going back to those days in our minds.
Right.
Because that's in our heart. Now it's like, well, then we knew if a trooper was in trouble just by his inflection.
Yeah.
And so, but now it's harder because some of these new guys get a little excited quickly. So we're all over it. It's like, no, everything's fine.
But with our moving ahead with technology that we have today, I'm sure that you can take care of a lot more area with what you're doing and the computers and technology and the radio and what we have, because we had the old low bandits, didn't cover that. Now we're up to 800 and moving forward in that also. So
that's correct. You're
covering a lot bigger area, aren't you?
We are. And, but like you said, we have a lot of equipment that helps us, a lot of good tools. So the mapping system is progressing.
Right.
And that helps for us to see the location. And that helps on training also. If we can see a car number on that map where they're at, that helps us to learn the geography of the area a little better too.
So you're talking the mapping system. So you're saying you can actually see where the trooper's calling in
That's
from.
correct.
Wow.
That's correct. His AVL, if it's working correctly, which in some of the low-lying areas right now, there's a lot of problem with connectivity. So we're working on that, and that's one of my favorite training tools is so that the new dispatchers can see that, and the old ones, because if they switch over to a different district, then it helps them see the area a little better.
And I'm sure, like you said, you got some trouble, but southern Indiana's a lot of hills and hollers.
Boy, it sure is.
So you're going to have something like that.
We don't. I mean, I know that the toll road has a lot of snow and issues with the snow up there, but boy, when you get that on those hills down in Evansville and Jasper, it's a little tough sometimes.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about being a good dispatcher. What does it take to be a good dispatcher? What are we looking for when we hire people?
What I look for is someone that is that's committed.
Okay.
Someone that has a little common sense. Common sense goes a long way.
Yeah.
Multitasking, a good listener, detail-oriented, composure, and a strong work ethic.
Yeah, because you're messing with you're dealing with a lot of people. You're dealing with a lot of situations from, hey, how do I get to this location, or I'm lost, to this person may be having a heart attack.
Absolutely.
So you're going from nothing to something in 0.0 seconds.
That's correct.
And you've got to be able to hold that composure and deal with that situation. So how do you teach someone to do that? I don't know if you can teach them.
Okay. I think a lot of it is just there. Okay. I mean, it's something you're born with. Not everyone can be a dispatcher.
Right. And I'm sure some people have found that out after they've tried.
Absolutely. We've hired some girls and good people, but they just, it just wasn't their niche.
Yeah.
It's just something that I think you're born with.
Yeah.
But you give them the tools, you give them the training. They go through, I think we have 4 weeks of training just in classroom training. Right. And then they're on site for about 12 to 14 weeks before we turn them loose on their own. And then they're still supervised. But, lots of training.
Yeah. So you have the classroom training. Tell me a little bit about what you guys look at, because do you have anything to fall back on if somebody calls in and says, my person, my father just fell over and I think he's having a heart attack? Do you have something to look at, or how do you?
We do. About? We have the cards that I don't know how to explain that, but we have the flip cards. If
They're
someone
kind
calls
of a medical flip card.
They are, and in other situations.
Okay.
So
choking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, baby having a baby. Anyway.
Absolutely. We've even had a dispatcher that's delivered a baby before. So it walks you through.
Okay.
It helps you to evaluate each situation, and then it takes you to another card that, that can go in a little more detail for that situation.
So they're not, because that's going to be stressful. So you need something to look at and have visual to walk them through that. So they actually help deliver a baby. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well, that was back in the Putnamville days. We haven't had one recently, but so.
That must have been rewarding.
I would think so. I think she even got to meet the baby. So that was kind of neat. Yeah. I know that's happened before, but no one I've known. So that's kind of exciting.
That is. So when you guys, what are your shifts that you have to work?
We work 7 to 3. Okay. 3 to 11, and 11 to 7. And we have, on the weekend, we have AWS, alternate work schedules, where the girls will come in and work 9.5 hours, and they only work 4 days a week, which that helps too for the single moms and for gasoline.
Oh, yeah.
So, and it helps for coverage. That works out pretty well for us.
Because you're 24/7. There's somebody there all the time.
365 days.
And sometimes more if it snows,
right? Yes, it seems like
you just end up staying there.
Yep. We did that back in January. It was some long weeks.
Yeah, some time down there. Well, again, you're listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Lions. Cops are kids, a subsidiary of the state police. And we're talking to Kathy Haley, who has just been promoted. She's promoted to the dispatch center manager, right?
That's correct.
To serve at the Bloomington Regional Dispatch Center. And that's just southern part of Indiana that she works for. And so you've been doing this for 19 years?
No, 11.
11 years. I thought you said
yes,
19.
No.
11, I'm sorry.
Seems like 19, but 11.
What have you found them be the most rewarding? What do you enjoy about being the dispatcher?
I think my officer safety and getting, making sure they get home each night to their family, because they're family to me, and they are family to each one of the girls. Yeah. So, and guys, I guess I need to.
Yeah, you don't want to leave the guys out there.
Because we got some good guys. But it's officer safety and assisting the public. I mean, you have to want to help people to be in this job. Yeah. So it's very rewarding.
Now, you guys, do you have somebody on each shift how does that work out for the counties? Do you have somebody for each county, or do they cover more than one county?
No, you mean troopers, or you're talking about my dispatchers?
Your dispatchers, yeah.
No, my dispatchers do it by district. Okay. It'll be Jasper, Evansville. We have a Jasper dispatcher, Evansville dispatcher, Putnamville, and Bloomington dispatcher.
Okay, so they'll be covering each of those.
Each one of those counties.
So they kind of get to know those troopers then pretty well, probably.
Pretty good, but you have some of those that do like to swap back and forth. But with that long distance, like from Jasper and Evansville, we don't get to see those troopers very often. So just hearing their voices, sometimes you need to see them, you need to meet them,
Right.
and it's took a little bit of the personable out of it.
Yeah.
So
what about what do you need to know if like a person calls into you? Say the public's going to call into you and they're listening to our show or watching our show right now. What do they need to tell you first?
their location.
Okay.
That's the most important thing. We've had so many frustrating calls where the person's really sick or hurt, scared a lot of times, and they're on I-70, and they don't even know what mile marker at. They don't know if they're in Richmond or if they're in Terre Haute. They have no clue. That's the most important thing for us and for the public to know is to know where you're at.
Because 911 on cellular does not come up for you folks. Is that correct?
It is more so now, but
Okay.
we mostly get the interstate 911s.
Right.
The counties still get the outlying ones. It still has its issues, but they're working on it. But it does that shouldn't matter.
Right,
They
yeah.
should know where they're
Right.
at. I mean, I even stress that to young girls that's driving back and forth to college. We had one the other night that she had no clue and she was just hysterical. So, yeah, being a mother, I lectured her, but they need to know where they're at.
Right.
It's very important because we need to get them help,
Yeah.
and we want to get them help. So it's frustrating for us too.
Is that probably one of the first things they need to give you to instead of going into the long drawn out affair of what their situation is?
Absolutely.
So you can get it
we
started.
need their location and then their callback number.
Okay.
So in case we do get disconnected, and nowadays you can ping cell phones. So
Okay.
I mean, only in real emergencies.
Right.
But if someone's having a heart attack, that's an emergency.
Right.
But it would be location and the cell phone or their callback number. Those are too important.
Now, you guys, I know when I was working the road stuff too, you guys would come out and ride with us every once in a while.
We still do that.
Do you still?
As much as we can. We're
Yeah.
a little short-handed right now, but
Okay.
yeah, that was always a treat.
And that helps us out and helps you out both, I think.
Yes.
Because a lot of times we're at the radio in the car going, my God, how come they're not answering me?
Absolutely.
I've called in twice and they're not answering me. And you've got two phone lines going and another emergency and somebody's trying to talk to you in the background. And you're going, I've got this going. So it kind of helps to see each other's job, doesn't it?
It does, and a lot of times the radios go down. We've been having with new updates and different things. Our console at Bloomington, if it's and this isn't going to make sense to some, but if it's selected, you couldn't hear. If you unselected it, Motorola was right on it, and they fixed it. But it's like all the guys were getting aggravated. Thank goodness for cell phones, because boy, they sure let us know it. So, there's so much technology.
Yeah. And it's good to see each other's jobs on the other side to know exactly what you're going through and what things you can experience.
Yes.
Because a lot of times you don't appreciate what the other person's doing. So if the road and weather.
Oh, road and weather, that's an issue sometimes. Because when the roads are bad, everyone wants to call the state police.
Yeah.
And every district thinks that their numbers is top of the list.
Yeah.
So, but the public should call 1-800-261-7623. 1-800-261-7623. And the internet is the best tool
Yeah.
that you can use. And I know there's older people that don't have that, and
Right.
we don't mind helping, but they need to realize too, we've got officers out there that's in multiple crashes, that's when it's slick out, and I know flooding, it's hard to answer those road
Yeah.
and weather questions when we're trying to answer the more important questions. So
You got emergencies going on, and you need to keep those lines open for emergencies.
yeah, exactly.
Because something be coming, and the next call could be something that's really dangerous.
But usually when we get those calls, we get on the internet for them.
Yeah.
And we Google it for them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we're looking at the same thing you're going to be looking
Absolutely.
at whenever you call in.
but I don't want them to get the opinion that we don't want to help them, because we do.
Yeah. Well, Kathy, we've run out of time here. I appreciate you being in here. Thanks so much for coming in here today.
Thanks for having me, Rich. I
And
appreciate it.
congratulations on your new job.
Thank you very much. I'm excited about it.
I know you'll do great.
I hope I do a good job for them
I
all.
know you will. Well, again, you've been listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. Been talking with Kathy Haley from the Bloomington Dispatch Center. She's now the Dispatch Central Center Manager down there in Bloomington. She'll be doing a great job. Stay buckled up. Keep those kids buckled up. Roadshow out.